Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Furr, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, Go Cloud Architect family. I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to Go Cloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired.
Because of Google Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the GlowCloud team.
Hi, everyone. It's Mike Gibbs. I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Careers, and I'm here today to help you build your career. Perhaps your goal is to become a solution architect, or a cloud architect, or a network architect, or an enterprise architect. Well, I'm here to guide you to help you get there a lot faster. I've been an architect, whether it be a network architect, a cloud architect, a business architect, an enterprise architect, for over 25 years now. And I've spent over 2 decades helping people just like you build your career, whether it be technology careers as network engineers, network architects, enterprise architects, cloud architects. I've spent more than 2 decades helping people just like you. Now, I come online at least once a week and answer people's career questions because I want to know that you know how to get there. I don't want you to make the mistakes that I made 25 years ago, which was get a whole lot of certifications and not have any opportunities there. And even after I tried that in the beginning, I went and got 6 certifications. No one was interested in me. I then did a research-based process, spoke to recruiters all across the country, asked them what employers wanted. And then as soon as I had that list, poof, I knew exactly what to learn. And a couple months later, I had an incredible job. And within 2 years, I was a principal architect. Within 6 months of starting my career, I was a lead architect at the world's largest internet service provider. And you can do it too. You can have any job you want as long as you're properly prepared and properly trained. And you don't have to start at help desk to get to the top. You don't need to be a sysadmin or a cloud admin. I've never done it. I went straight into a senior role. I've got students every day that get senior roles as their first job because they are properly trained. When it comes to being great, it's not about the experience that you have. It's about the competency, meaning the ability to do the job and the ability to do it well. So that's why I come here at least once a week to answer your questions. Every day, people send me private messages asking for guidance. And I do paid consults, and they're fairly expensive, but I've got a 26-week backlog of them. And that's why I like to come online completely free. Let me tell you about some things we have going on right now, and then please ask us your questions so we can help you build your career. I'd like to let everybody know that tomorrow we have our How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. And on these webinars, we will go over the cloud architect and solution architect role. We will go over what we do, all the skills we need, and how you can get there. And it's completely free. And if your goal is to be a solutions architect, we can help you with that as well. Or cloud architect, anywhere in between. So come to the How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, and we can help get you hired. And it's the best career you can ever imagine. Now, after that, I also want to let you know we have a completely free guide, a free ebook on how to get your first cloud architect job. Again, it's free. It will go over the role, what we do, the skills you need, and let me tell you, it's an extremely good career. And I think you should do both. I think you should get the free guide and join us on the webinar tomorrow. We haven't run a Cloud Architect webinar in a couple of weeks because of the launch of our Enterprise Architect program, and I'm excited to get back to what we do most of, cloud architecture. So please join us tomorrow. And also, if you're trying to get your first job in tech, and I don't care what kind of tech job it is, whether it's a cloud engineer or DevOps engineer, tech skills are not enough. And that's where most people err. You need more than tech skills, so we'll also have a free guide on why tech skills are not enough and those other skills you need to be highly successful in your career. So, now we've told you about all the free things we have, so do not be shy. Please don't be shy. Come and learn, ask your questions so we can get you to your goal. So, Tyrone, who's behind the scenes, let's bring us the questions that you have. And please don't be shy. I don't bite. Big Jerry 23. Hi, Mike. What's the difference between a cloud architect and a solution architect? Very good question, Big Jerry 23. So a solution architect, and AWS has their own definitions of these two, but for every other company in the world, what a solution architect is someone that works for a company and designs, presents, and sells that company's product. So a solution architect at AWS will design, present, and sell AWS solutions. A solution architect at NVIDIA will design, present, and sell NVIDIA solutions. A solution architect over at Cisco will design, present, and sell Cisco solutions. So all in all, you can think of a solution architect as a single cloud, single vendors technology. Now, they get involved a little bit in the other things, but that's predominantly what they do. A cloud architect, by comparison, is a much bigger role. And it'll be a little less technical than the solution architect role, which is why it pays more, because the closer you are to the technology, sadly, the less you earn. The closer you are to the business side, the more you earn. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So the cloud architect will deal with real world situations. So 98% of organizations are multi-cloud. 98%. Which means if you only know AWS, like an AWS solutions architect, you can't really work in 98% of organizations. So a cloud architect will deal with the reality of the world, which is many organizations have their own private cloud, whether it be a Nutanix cloud or an OpenStack cloud in their data center. The private cloud is going to give the lowest cost possible, the highest performance possible, and the highest security possible. But in private clouds, we lack some of the agility and scalability that we receive from the public cloud. So we will deal with hybrid clouds where we've got a private cloud connecting to a public cloud, or reality is we'll deal with the hybrid multi-cloud, which again is 98% of the organization. So we will design the private cloud, we will design what needs to be in, say, AWS, Azure, and we may use another cloud for disaster recovery. And that's what a cloud architect does. So you can think of a cloud architect as all clouds and data centers. And you can look at the solution architect as just a single vendor product at all companies other than AWS. So if you look at the architects and the role of strategy and the role of pay, the lowest pay we're going to receive is the technical architect. That's going to be someone that's a cross between an engineer and an architect. And they're focusing on the technology, not the business, which is why it's the least strategic and lowest paying job. Then you can go up the ranks to the solution architect, which is, say, 50% business and 50% tech, and that person really knows the single vendor's technology really great. As we go up in the realm of architects, we then come into the cloud architect. This is probably a 50 to 80% business role and a 20 to 50% technology role. And it can't be as technically deep because now we're dealing with all the clouds and the data centers, but it's closer to the business, so it'll pay more. And if we move up one more architect level above that, we actually get into the enterprise architect world, which is pretty much a business executive that knows a little bit about technology and coordinates the solutions architects, the cloud architects, the network architects, the security architects, and everywhere in between, and marries the business needs to the technology solution. So that's covering really all your architect roles. The technical architect role, which is a techie, the solution architect role, which is 50% business, 50% tech, the cloud architect, which is, more business and a little less tech, and the enterprise architect, which is mostly business and a little bit of tech. And there are the roles. Great question. Armchair wizard. You're trying to get into DevOps without going to university, but you have no background in tech. You're willing to study and get started. So Armchair wizard, let me give you some guidance. First, nobody cares about degrees anymore. And nobody also cares about certifications, they care about skills. So Armchair wizard, I'm going to give you a little guidance. If you do DevOps, understand that DevOps is a risky role, where architecture is a safe role. And I want to be clear about that. The reason any engineering roles are risky roles is, what does an engineer do? A DevOps engineer, or any engineer. A lot of what they do has related to writing code and writing scripts and using tools. Most of those things can be done by artificial intelligence. So we stopped selling any kind of cloud engineering programs about 1.5 years ago because I didn't want to train people for a role which could be replaced by technology. So if you love DevOps, and that's fine if you love DevOps until you can get there, I want to give you the guidance, Armchair Wizard, for you to be great and have a stellar DevOps career. And this is going to be what I want you to do. First thing I want you to do is really learn DevOps. And what does that mean? The only people that should ever be going into DevOps are people that were previously software developers, because this is a role of automation, and specifically automating a lot of things like code releases. And if you don't understand code and you're not a good software developer, DevOps is a bad career for you. So kind of keep that in your mind. So you're going to have to first understand one programming language and learn it really well. For a DevOps engineer, I would say that is Python. Now, in addition to that, you're going to need to know all the DevOps tools, and you're going to have to be great at them, whether they be Jenkins or Spinnaker or Git or any of the cloud providers' DevOps tools. Remember, you're going to be using more than one cloud. So you're going to have to master those DevOps tools. Now, a lot of DevOps is related to Kubernetes, and you're going to have a strong understanding of Kubernetes, understanding the orchestration platforms, as well as where the containers are hosted. So you're going to need to know a lot about that. Now, because DevOps is a hands-on job, you're going to need to know a lot of Linux systems. You're going to need to know Bash shell scripting, etc. You might even be doing some work on Windows, so Windows PowerShell scripting would be good as well. And it's a role, DevOps is a role and a culture related to automation and improving software velocity. So those are kind of your main skills that you need for DevOps. Now, Armchair Wizard, if you only know those skills to be a DevOps engineer, you're at risk for being replaced by artificial intelligence. Look, cloud architect jobs can never be replaced by AI, and I'll tell you why. Solution architect jobs can't be replaced by AI. Enterprise architect jobs can't, because in our world, we're constantly selling, presenting, leading, communicating, coordinating, managing stakeholders, etc. So if you want to do DevOps, focus on the skills I told you, but also develop your leadership skills. Also develop your communication skills. Also develop your sales skills that are so good that you can sell yourself into the position and move into a pre-sales role later. Work on your executive presence so people will take you seriously. Work on your CXO relevancy so when times get tough in engineering, and I predict engineering is going to have a hard time while we're getting more and more and more architect jobs. That way you'll have the ability to move into a pre-sales role, and that's what companies typically call a distinguished engineer. It's an engineer that's got great tech skills and also has good business skills, communication skills, and leadership skills. And those people cannot be replaced by technology. Why can't an architect be replaced? Because the more technologies that join us, the more opportunities we have to innovate for our clients. And they need somebody to tie the pieces together. Why can't an architect be replaced? Because they've got to sell, they've got to negotiate, they've got to manage stakeholders, they've got to lead. They've got to write thought leadership documents, present at conferences, present at executive briefings. Guess what? Engineers who also have those skills, they're called distinguished engineers. Not only do they get paid double what a regular engineer does, but they cannot be replaced by technology. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So you do that, you're going to be great. So make sure that you don't just learn the tech. Tech skills are not enough. And I read a document on why tech skills are not enough. I hope you would download that and read that. Now, I would encourage you to think about an architect role if you are interested in that. And if not, if you want to be in tech, please, please, please understand the business side, because that'll be your secret sauce and secret weapon. Because architects, look, the demand for us is going up. The pay for us is going up and going up and going up. On that engineering side, master the business piece too, and then you can have any job you want anywhere in the world, and people will fight for you and compete for you. Great question, Armstrong Wizard. I hope I answered your question. Please, guys and girls that are out there, feel free to ask your questions. I really want to help you build an elite career. Mr. Ospex, hi Alonzo, thanks for the stream. You will start as a cloud architect in a bank that just started out with the cloud. They want you to write the cloud strategy, regulation, and best practices. Okay. You're a Descend developer and have worked as a product owner for a cloud bank quite a while, so I can communicate with and stakeholder management, but my technical skills are a bit outdated. Where to start? Well, Mr. Aspect, remember, what is the cloud? The cloud is somebody else's network in a data center, and honestly, it has nothing to do with development at all, zero. So what are those skills? Network and data center skills. So what I'd like you to do is follows. I'd like you to download the How to Become a Cloud Architect free guide, and I'd also like to invite you to the webinar that we're going to hold tomorrow afternoon. It's live on Zoom. We can ask questions, we can interview if you want. We can do anything we need to get you there. And there we will talk about the skills of the cloud architect. But I'll give you a little bit of hints right now. You need to be familiar with networking, whether that be wide area networks, routing, switching, and all the things that go along with that. You need to understand IP addressing, because if the IP addressing is wrong, everything will fall apart. You need to understand compute. And it's the same compute no matter which clouds you're in. So whether it be virtual machines or containers, you need to understand all those hypervisors, containers, and container orchestration management. At the same time, while we're at it, you're going to have to understand the storage area networks. And whether it's a private cloud or a public cloud, it's going to be the same thing. And your storage area networks are typically block storage, object storage, and file storage. You're going to have to understand the applications, not from a code level, but the applications that you can use to drive transformation in that bank. What can you do to improve customer experience? What can you do to improve the efficiency? What can you do to improve the people at the bank and their relationships with their clients? Those kinds of things. You're also going to have to understand databases. What kind of databases will do what? When do you use a NoSQL database? When do you use a data warehouse? When do you use a relational databases? What, how, and where would you create a data lake? And what kind of opportunities would you create for machine learning and AI to help that business perform better? Then you need to understand security, whether they be next generation firewalls, IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators, etc. So those are your skills. Generally speaking, I've worked with product owners and I've worked with architects. They typically need a little more business acumen and a little more leadership skills to go from product owner to one of these architects. But, if they felt like you have those skills, that's really great. But those are the skills you need. They are wide, but not so deep. And you're going to have to be able to manage the teams who are going to do this. So my favorite expression comes out of Africa, and it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So make sure you've got those leadership skills, the ability to exercise influence, the ability to persuade others, the ability to sell, because you're going to be selling your vision to the C-suite constantly, the ability to present and present well. Kind of keep those things in the back of your mind, and you'll be in great shape. That's where I'd start, but get the list that we have for free. Come join us in the webinar, and if you have the opportunity to get training, and that way you'll succeed in your job, and you'll do very well. Big Jerry 23, follow-up. How will the skills and training for solution architects compare to the skills and training for a cloud architect? Cloud architect is going to need more business skills, which is why they get paid more. The cloud architect is going to need more management skills because they're going to be building a team of solution architects, for example, and specialty architects and technology professionals, where the solution architect will manage all the people in one company. The cloud architect will be dealing with it across companies, hence the bigger role and higher pay. The business skills will have to be greater for the cloud architect because they're going to be now dealing with lots of cloud providers and a lot more with the executive team, because they're in between the solution architect and the enterprise architect role. So tech skills wise, the cloud architect is going to have to understand the technology at a deeper level, because you're designing systems across clouds. Now, all the stuff is the same no matter which cloud you're in, but some people manage to sneak into solution architect jobs without truly understanding what was going on under the hood, and that's impossible in a cloud architect job. So there are the main differences in skills. Multi-vendor, vendor management. Multi-vendor management is going to be much more in the cloud architect job. There's going to be a lot more stakeholder management in the cloud architect job, because you're going to have to deal with all the people, whether in which company they come from and the such. So it's going to be more there. But all in all, it's the same role. I've been training people for cloud architect positions, and so many of them get jobs at AWS as solution architects, at a consulting firm as a solution architect, at Azure or Google as a solution architect. And I get a lot of people cloud architect jobs at big four consulting companies as well, and big banks and other organizations. So really, that's the key. Big Jerry 23, our graduates work at Apple, Amazon, Cisco, IBM, Microsoft, Google, Accenture, Deloitte, KPMG, Capgemini, JP Morgan Chase, for example, British Broadcasting Company, Barclays Bank, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Accenture, Deloitte, anybody that matters. So, those are the skills that the big employers are looking for. And it's a great question. How to become the master of all cloud platforms? That's easy. Learn the network and the data center. All a cloud really is somebody else's network and data center. That's it. You strip off all the fluff, the crazy marketing names that people came up with, and it's just a network and a data center. So same routers that we had, the cloud provider, you do in a data center, the cloud providers have. Same routing protocols we use in the data center, for the most part, the cloud providers use. We get a virtual machine, for example. It doesn't matter whether it's a VMware ESXi virtual machine. It doesn't matter if it's a KVM virtual machine on Linux. It doesn't matter if it is an Azure virtual machine, a Google Compute Engine instance, or an AWS EC2 instance. It's all the same. So like I like to say is, you don't learn to drive a Honda. You learn to drive a car. And if you learn to drive the car, you're good, which is why I teach cloud architecture, because it's nothing to go from a cloud architect to a solution architect. And but a solution architect's not prepared for cloud architect roles, which is why we do what we do. So storage area network. Does it matter if you're dealing with block storage from Dell EMC, block storage on Nutanix, block storage on Microsoft, where they call it a managed disk, block storage on AWS, where they call it a elastic block storage? It's the same tech. Object storage, same thing in all clouds. Look, with object storage, we can have AWS S3. We can have object storage from Dell EMC. We can have Azure Blob, Google Cloud Storage. It's the same thing with somebody else's branding name on it. It's really something. It's like you called an apple. You can call an apple. You could call it a Mila in Greek, but it's still just an apple. So it's all the same thing. BGP, same BGP and all internet service providers and all cloud providers for the entire world for the last 25 years. Nothing's changed. So you want to learn, be a master all cloud platforms? Learn the underlying technology. Strip off all the ridiculous branding names, Elastic this, Cloud this. Look at the technology for what it is, and then you'll always know. And guess what? Your clients will always know as well. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Learn the cloud. Don't learn the fancy names. You can look at a chart for the fancy names. Learn the technologies that you can use to innovate and how they work, which is very different than how to configure them. You need to understand the underlying technology. For example, most people understand how to put www.gocloudcareers.com in the browser. But how many people really understand what happens after they put gocloudcareers.com in their browser? What does their PC do? Does it look at the routing table in the PC? How are the messages being sent? How they're being encapsulated, for example? What's going on with ARP? What's going on with routing? For those kind of things that we're really talking about, that's what you need to understand. How does the tech work? Strip off the names, and when you understand how it works, then you understand everything. So kind of hope that kind of helps you get to your goal, and then you'll do great. Mike, what is the main difference between a regular cloud architect and an enterprise/principal cloud architect? They're all three separate roles. So a regular cloud architect designs, presents, and sells solutions across multiple clouds. An enterprise architect, by comparison, is the big person that oversees all of the organization. So the enterprise architect will evaluate the business for the vision for the business. The enterprise architect will focus on the business processes, how they work today and how they should be for the future. The enterprise architect will then evaluate all the technology systems, for example. The enterprise architect will then work with cloud architects and solution architects to design and application architects and network architects and IAM architects and security architects to design the overall technology solution. The enterprise architect will help figure out a governance structure, and the enterprise architect will help that organization deal with change management. Here's the key with all architecture roles: we don't touch the tech. We're not engineers. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So a principal cloud architect is just a cloud architect with extremely good skills. Typically means more business acumen. I was a principal architect within 2 years, but it took me about 5 years to become an enterprise architect, because I needed the business acumen, the leadership, the sales skills, executive presence. So, great question there, Cloud Station. Nada, what is the importance of TOGAF certification in the field of solution architecture? Nada, I'm going to give you a secret. Nobody cares about your certification. No one. There is no certification that teaches architecture. The AWS Solution Architect certification, you know what it teaches, including the professional? The name of a proprietary service and how that service works. That is absolutely it. So the name of the service and how that service actually works. So, the name of the service and how to configure that service. And you know what architects don't do? We don't configure those services, and we can't use the names of any of those services to any of our clients because we're going to sound like a robot. We have to go in there and talk to the client about their business needs, etc. So let's talk about TOGAF. TOGAF does not teach architecture. I'm going to say it again. TOGAF does not teach architecture. So you have to learn how to be an architect prior to TOGAF. TOGAF is a framework which gives you guidance on the documents you need to write and the steps to be successful. Now, Nada, I love TOGAF, and here's why I love it. First, when I tell people to go do a TOGAF certification, It reminds them that they're not going to be coding or configuring and doing any of these kind of things that that we're dealing with. None of those things. So it keeps people from focusing too much on technology. Here's what a TOGAF is. You're trained to be an architect. You got the business skills to be an architect. You got the leadership skills to be an architect. You've got the vendor management skills to be an architect. You've got the stakeholder management skills. You've got the executive presence, the business acumen. You already have it. And then TOGAF says, look, start here with the business vision. Next, go to the business architecture. Then go to the technology. Then go to finding the solutions to optimize the business. Then create a governance structure and then deal with change management. So it's like a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And that's what I really like about TOGAF. Love it, love it, love it. But, you know, it's not going to teach you architecture. So what is the point of actually getting a certification in the first place? The certification looks pretty on your resume and it's willing to get an help the employer interview. What doesn't a certification do? Teach you anything of value that actually for the architect world? Sure, to be a sysadmin, yes, but to be an architect, no. So it's good. I view certifications as bait for the employer, meaning it'll help you get an interview. And then it's all the knowledge and training and expertise that you have that actually gets you hired. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So I hope I answered your question there. What about the future of MLOps and SecOps on multi-cloud platforms? I don't do operations careers or ever recommend operations careers in technology, and here's why. Anything with the word ops in it gets paid far, far, far less than any other position, and here's why. Architects are revenue generating, okay? So we bring money into the actual business. So we get paid more for that. Sales engineers bring money into the actual business. So we get paid more for that. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But back-end people like operations are the lowest paid of the bunch because they're getting the job done in the back end. And unfortunately, back-end people are not highly compensated. Now, here's the other problem with back-end ops. Back-end ops can be replaced by AI, where customer-facing roles cannot. So I do think there will be plenty of opportunities in the AI ops world, not necessarily ML ops world, for a short period of time. And then I think AI will take over so many of those technology things. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So I don't feel good about any operations career. I'm telling you right now, I would either be in sales engineering, solution architecture, cloud architecture, and enterprise architecture. I really worry about our wonderful engineers. Look, I love engineers. I truly do. Engineers are the amazing people that take the designs by the architect and build them. But, you know, I proved the point with some people that came to me for engineering, and I said, look, let's write a Terraform script to deploy 15,000 virtual machines on AWS with this much cores and this much memory. 5 minutes later, I had a full script by ChatGPT, which is basic. And all we needed to do was tune in and edit it a little bit. I don't code, architects don't code, but I can write a Python script in 10 seconds to do something on ChatGPT and then even know where to tune it because it tells you where to tune it. I can write a bash script on ChatGPT. So all that ops stuff is easily replaceable by technology. So when we looked at IBM and their layoffs, they said, we're laying off back-end people, but we're keeping and maintaining and adding to our customer-facing roles. So in a world of AI, I'd probably get there. And understand that whether it's ML ops or SecOps, the real work on security are the people that design the system. The operations is just keeping it going. So it's there. So I'll give you a difference so you can think about it. A SysOps professional, which kind of maintains the systems and keeps them up running, is a $60,000 career. A solution architect is a $237,000 career on average. A good enterprise architect 20 years ago got paid $250,000 a year. Today gets paid $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. So understand, if you're an ops or if you're in any back-end position, you're the first to be laid off or made redundant when times are bad. You'll be the lowest paid person on the team. So I don't recommend these courses. Now, having said that, if you love being behind the scenes and you don't ever want to talk to somebody, I would recommend MLOps over SecOps, because SecOps has only a portion of the security that's there. But MLOps, at least, or AIOps, at least will be some opportunities for a good 5 to 10 years. After that, you're going to have to switch to architecture or some other customer-facing role. So I hope I answered your question there. And it's not that I don't love engineers. I do love them. I've never done an architecture without consulting the engineers. They're like the smartest people in the room when it comes to tech. They always are. But I know the CEO mindset. I have the CEO mindset. And these are jobs that can be outsourced very easily. They're also jobs that could, what's the word I'm looking for? They're jobs that could be replaced by AI. Eloquent. Hey, Mike and Tyrone, is a cloud security architect sell and do business negotiation? Well, here's a great question for you, Eloquent. Imagine you've designed a $40 million security solution. I promise you, guess what? No one is interested in spending $40 million. So the only way you're ever going to sell that solution is to be able to quantify the security risks they have and then help sell the solution to the customer, meaning it costs less than the actual risks. So, yep, we're always going to be involved in security negotiations and business things. The word architect should really be replaced with business technology person, because we will always be involved in the design. We will always be involved in the presentations. We will always be involved in the sales process. And if you're a good architect, you'll be involved in the negotiation process as well. The account executives are going to want you there. So we're always going to be there. We're going to be presenting at conferences as security architects, which again, you could look at as marketing. We're going to be writing thought leadership documents for our company, which again is this marketing kind of world, which is the precursor to sales. So we're always going to be involved with C-suite level conversations. So yeah, always. It's always part of there. What is the average pay in US dollars for cloud architects? You're typically dealing with about $237,000 in the US for the average pay. Now, having said that, I earned more than that 20 years ago as an architect because I had more business acumen, more leadership skills, more sales skills, more executive presence, et cetera, because I trained for those things. But what you're dealing with for a cloud architect, or which is more than a solution architect, is about 237 on average. But if you have more business acumen, you'll obviously earn more, and that's the secret, is the business acumen. That's the key to really earning more. And I'll give you some examples. The senior director at Cisco, average pay is $527 with a pay range of $417 to $689. Now, what's the difference? How well you interview and how good your sales skills are. I'll give you an example of another business role, and then we'll get into tech roles like architect roles. Senior director at Palo Alto earns $540 on average with a pay range of $425 to $709. But let's look at a principal architect, which is an architect. I was one in less than 2 years with extra business acumen and better communication skills. Here we've got one at Google. Average pay is $508,000 for the solution architect. These are straight from Glassdoor with a pay range of $394 to $677. Principal architect at Microsoft, and Microsoft is really great to their employees. Lots of people love working there. Average pay is $379, but you can see their pay range is $300 to $495 for a really good architect. Now you can look at another company like Amazon. Their average pay for an architect is $372, $688, and for principal architect, and $291 to $491 is the pay range. But you can see, even just people that have good sales skills, you're dealing with a global account manager at Amazon without any of these technical skills, but really good sales skills, business acumen, leadership, executive presence. Their average pay is $332. So the key is to have as much business acumen as you possibly can. And if you can do that, you'll have a career you can't even imagine. Kevin, what TOGAF training is there in the new enterprise course that is starting in February? Kevin, the TOGAF training is only a small percentage of our enterprise architect job. TOGAF 10 training is there. What's different about our enterprise architect versus our cloud architect program is we've got much more business acumen in here. much more consulting skills, much more stakeholder management skills, much more leadership skills, etc., and all those extra businessy skills that are there. TOGAF is just a certification, just a basic certification. Here's the steps to be successful. So that's all that is. But this is a heavily focused enterprise architect program, much more sales, much more business acumen, much more stakeholder management, much more negotiation, much more leadership, much more executive presence, and all these other things. Hope that answers your question. What is the responsibility of the cloud security architect? To design, present, and sell a security solution. So while a cloud architect is a generic role, look, we own the data center, we own the clouds, we own the security, we own the networking, we own the IAM, we own the AI, we own it all. Now, here's the thing, Cloud Station. When you own everything, you can't possibly know everything, even a little bit. So as a cloud architect, we're going to be managing and leading all these additional architects. The cloud security architect only focuses on the security. What does that mean? It means the security policy. It means architecture for the demilitarized zones. It means determining the level of training that's necessary, for example, to train the employees against anti-phishing, anti-malware campaigns, so anti-social engineering campaigns. It involves determining the firewalls, the IDS, IPS systems, VPN concentrators for remote access. It involves dealing with both defense and depth, as well as zero trust, because that's going to be necessary today as well to really secure things. It involves determining the encryption strategy, for example, encryption for things that are in motion, encryptions that are related to storage. It involves, to some degree, identity and access management. What systems we use to determine who the users are, what they can do, and then log those systems. The security architect will determine what kind of systems are acceptable to be placed on the network, how they need to be hardened, etc. And those are the typical things that a security architect would do, along with documentation of the solution, presenting in executive briefings, presenting in conferences, participating in meeting with the sales team. So all design, present, and sell, if you will, for security solutions. By contrast, a network architect would do all the same kind of things, although whatever's different for their world, for just networking. It's a specialty architect position. And it's a great question, Cloud Station. What is the main difference between SRE roles and architecture roles? They're nothing related. In one place, you got a person that's a hands-on techie with regards to the SRE. An architect doesn't touch the tech. We don't code. We don't configure. We don't do DevOps. We don't do systems. We do none of it. What we do as architects is we design a system to improve our client's business performance. Our focus is business. How do we optimize the business, the business, the business, the business? SREs, DevOps engineers, and techies go build stuff. So let me take it out of here, and maybe I can make explainer. The people that design airplanes and rockets are not the people that fly them. That's why we don't ask pilots to design the airplanes. We have aeronautical architects that know how to design these things, and we've got pilots that fly them. Now, you can look at the architect. Let's say you want a shopping mall built or a hotel built. You go to an architect to design the blueprints and the building, and then you hire a team of construction people to put it together. You can look at the engineers as the construction crew that puts it together, and you can look at the architects as the designers. So the architects are the system designers. The engineers are the builders. Now, here's why architects get paid 2 to 10 times more than the average engineer based upon how good they are with business skills. Because they're focusing on business issues. And sadly, and this is kind of ridiculous, business people are willing to pay anything to enhance their business. But they're only willing to pay a limited amount for technology people. So DevOps, SRE, you can look at them as low-paying positions with limited opportunity in the future. You can look at any architect role as a big opportunity. And why? You've got a cloud architect that's designing, presenting, and selling an entire solution to improve the customer's business performance. What's the chief information officer do? They determine what technology solutions will improve the customer's business performance. So architects can move into big leadership and heavy management roles. Engineering can move into engineering management. And it's typically related to the technology and less the business. So Engineers are wonderful. They're great, great, great people. But understand, once the word engineer is in your career, you're a techie. Once you focus on the business, you're a business expert, and the business experts improve business. So architects don't touch the technology. We don't code. We don't configure. We design a solution. We present it. We sell it. And then what happens? Then an engineering team comes in and builds it. And then once it's built, we either have we have operations people, and you could almost put SRE into some of those operational roles, and they maintain the systems. And when it gets broken, there's another team that does tech support. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Hope that helps. Ruben. Hi, can you give us insight on who ultimately makes the business decisions when designing on technology solutions? Also, how does a mom and pop differ from an enterprise making decisions? Well, Ruben, who makes the decisions? The CEO, the CFO, and the CIO. The CIO has to say, yes, this is going to be our technology strategy. The CFO is the gatekeeper of the money. And the CEO is the ultimate yes or no. So that's how it works in all real world environments. Next, guess what? How does a mom and pop business? Well, you're still going to deal with the executives. But here, keep this in the back of your mind, Ruben. Mom and pop businesses don't hire architects. They can't afford them. I mean, a mom and pop business could do $500,000 a year in sales or $1 million in sales. They can't afford to pay $200,000 for an architect who's only going to design the system and not build it. So, very rare that an architect will ever do any real work in a mom and pop business. Now, there are companies like AWS that will focus on small businesses with architects, and they'll basically just give a cookie cutter solution to everybody. And they're small startups, and there's nothing wrong with that. But let me give you the difference in how it works. Let's say I'm going to go to Bank of America. Bank of America will have 50 to 150 architects there, just architects, and maybe 500 or 1,000 or thousands of engineers. JP Morgan Chase has more engineers, according to what they've described, than Google and Amazon put together. Keep that in the back of your mind. I think it was the data that they put out there. So in a big business like a bank, solutions architects come in and they present to the technical team. It works its way up to the leadership before someone says, yes, I'm willing to buy your $1 billion solution. And when the architects come into the bank, we're advising the architects at the bank with what we think is good based upon where we come from and what we're designing, presenting, and selling, who we work for. And then their architects will then accept the design and figure out the design that they actually need to use to make things work. And in a mom and pop business, they're not going to have any architects. So the vendor will say, here's how you should design your stuff. And the people either say yes or no, because they don't have the sophistication to do it. Mom and pop businesses typically don't have technology professionals. So a mom and pop business will sell everything to maybe a value-added reseller. Just do it all for us, outsource it for us. And a big business will understand that they can do things better, faster, and cheaper themselves. So I hope that answers your question. For Saudi, lots of layoffs happening due to AI. Yes, we told people this is going to happen 2 years ago, and we told people what to do instead. Our people don't get laid off. Our architects, they keep getting hired. And about a year ago, I said, please get out of software engineering. Please get out of programming. Please get out of anything that generative AI can do better or they can do well. So programmers, I think what's going to happen is we're going to have two kinds of programmers. Right now, we have 3 tiers of programmers, and they're the following. We got the basic entry-level people. Look, AI can do a better job than the entry-level people, so we don't need them anymore. And that's sad, but that's the reality. Mid-level people will probably keep, and we'll give them AI so they can basically do AI to generate the content, and then we'll use their skill to kind of clean it up. So maybe we need, 30% of the programmers in the future than we do now. The best programmers, those rock stars that are experts in everything, well, they can never be replaced because AI will never be as good as them. So kind of keep this in the back of your mind, and systems will do very, very well. There's always going to be roles for the best of the best, but in the world of AI, the beginner and average, we don't need them. AI can do the job. And it's really sad. So, after hiring people for 25 years, after interviewing people, I've done 6,000 interviews. When you interview people, it's hard to figure out what a lot of people know or do. They're the ones that we typically don't hire, and they're the ones that are the first to get laid off. But the best of the best, they never get laid off. And that's kind of the key to remember. You've got to be the best of the best in the world of AI if you want to be in engineering. And you've got to have those communication skills. We're no longer in a world where we can have someone that's great with code that can't talk to people, that only showers every third day. And I'm exaggerating the concept because I remember when I started my career 25 years ago, there were people that showered once a week or only ate green M&Ms or only ate pizza, and they were kept in a basement and you just bring food in them for them. And they were good at what they did and we loved them. Sadly, those people have kind of migrated off because now the technology is not so complicated like it used to be. Systems actually work, and it's relatively simple. I had to read 75,000 pages for my Cisco Certified Internet Expert. And that barely was an intro to anything. The AWS Solutions Architect Professional is 500 pages. It's nothing. It feels like a lot, but it's nothing compared to what we originally had. And why is that? Because the tech at Amazon works, or Google works, or Microsoft works. It's relatively simple. So because the technology got a lot simpler, then what ultimately happened was we now needed more people with business skills, leadership skills, executive skills, and the such. So there's that. Plus, most technology projects fail. I'm not joking. They fail because most people don't include enough of the business functions in their system design, and that causes a nightmare of problems. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Software industry will continue to grow, but I don't think we're going to need anywhere near as software engineers. And regarding programmers, I also want you to think of current events. People are not going to the office. When the companies are saying come to the office, people are saying no. So why do employers want people coming to the office? They like the culture of innovation where people talk to each other and bring out the best in each other, which spurs creativity. Like, I love to work from home. I've worked from home for 22 years now. But, people are not coming to the office. For better, for worse. I don't have a personal position on this. But if people are not coming to the office and they're refusing to come to the office, it no longer matters where your remote software people are. Why? I can hire someone in Lagos, Nigeria, Cape Town, South Africa, Bamenda, Cameroon, Athens, Greece, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Mexico City, Mexico, or New York. Doesn't matter where they're at if they're not coming to the office. But the cost of living is very different in many places. $28,000 a year in India equivalent is the equivalent of $100,000 in the US. So if you've got a $150,000 program in the US, why not pay somebody $45,000 or $50,000 in India, which is the equivalent, and get the same and hire 4 times the people and then supercharge them with AI? So I think there's going to be a lot more of that. Plus, a lot of companies overhired engineers because they thought there was going to be so much to build, and the economy slowed down, so there's less to build. But we architects are still designing, presenting, and selling, and we're revenue generating, so kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But software industry will continue to grow, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to need as many engineers to make things happen. Hope I answered your question there. Happy to do more. And for anybody out there, if you have questions, please ask us your questions. We want to help you. Please download the free guide on why tech skills are not enough. Please download the free guide on how to become a cloud architect. And please come to our free webinar tomorrow on how to get your first architect job. I love watching people get hired. I want to help you. If you don't have questions, believe me, I've got a lot of work that I haven't had the opportunity to do so. So I'll get back to it. But if you've got questions, I really, truly want to help you. Chris, I think there's one more comment there that we can talk about. And After that, if there's questions, we'll keep going. And if not, I'm going to get back to work. You are predicting all domains will be migrated to cloud, then all development will be done on the cloud and the cloud umbrella for old and new technologies. I tend to disagree with you on this, and here's the reason. About 5 years ago, everything was moving to the cloud. And here's the problem. Nobody understood that the cloud was just somebody else's network in a data center. And the cloud got real expensive real fast. For example, I have an OpenStack cloud in my house. I built it myself. I bought refurbished servers from Dell, or from Amazon that were made by Dell. And the total cost of the servers was $10,000. I then spec'd those identical servers on the AWS cloud. And with the storage I have and the utilization I have, it was $11,000 a month. So I want you to think about it. $11,000 a month over 3 years is, realistically speaking, close to $400,000. I paid $10,000 to build my own cloud. And sure, it'll cost me another $5,000 or $10,000 to operate over the next few years. So it's like 1/8 of the cost. We also recently priced out buying some Dell servers. And a $300,000 Dell server would cost the equivalent of about $2 million on any cloud provider for the equivalent server over the course of 4 years, by the time we virtualized and did everything. So what you're seeing is organizations went to the cloud, and now they're actually coming off of the cloud, and they're building their own clouds, Nutanix and OpenStack. The best example out there was JP Morgan Chase builds their own cloud, and they said they saved $2.2 billion per year by not building a public cloud. So what we'll see is, and I predict, because I'm already seeing it when I speak to clients, is organizations and data center spending is still going up. The local data center provides higher performance, lower cost, and higher security than the public cloud. But it doesn't have the agility. When you run out of compute capacity in your private cloud, you're done, right? But with a Nutanix cloud or an OpenStack cloud, we can run our compute systems, and as soon as our systems get busy, they can instantly scale out on AWS and Azure. Why is that great? Well, AWS and Azure can take over if our data center doesn't work. So we've got higher availability, and they're there. So you got to keep this in the back of your mind that it's not an all or nothing thing. We're going to have a lot of data centers, which we turn into clouds, a lot of public clouds, which we turn into clouds, and it's all going hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. Nobody in today's world is exactly crazy enough to put all their eggs in one basket with the initial, like, all AWS or all Azure, all Google. That was absolutely ridiculous. So hope that actually helps you. Mopscal, in your experience with stage fright, something architects had to get over? Well, let's be fair. In any architect job, you'll be giving presentations. Now, I don't know why, and it feels kind of crazy to me, but what if I told you the average person, especially in America, was more afraid to give a speech than die? I'm going to say it again. The average person is more afraid to speak in public than die. Now, I don't understand this. Now, I will tell you that personally, I'm an introvert, and I used to be very shy. So what did I do? I went out there and gave presentations. I got a coach, I took training on how to speak, and now it's just what I do every single day. So we're all afraid of what we don't understand, but Mopscal, it doesn't matter. You're just going to need to get training. You know what I learned? I used to practice internal medicine in my youth. I was a nurse practitioner. I wasn't born knowing how to prescribe medication or even knowing how to diagnose a disease. I wasn't. I went to school for it. The first time I tried to go to speech, it wasn't pretty. It really wasn't. But I did it. I learned from it. It got better. I then got a speech coach, and I literally recorded myself presenting every day. And I kept doing it until I was better. Then I started taking training, and I got better and better. Now it's just normal. So a lot of people are afraid to speak, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. Nobody's born an airplane pilot. Nobody's born a professional speaker. Nobody's born anything. Humans have zero instincts, and everything we have is learned, which is good news. Now, my kitten, when I adopted her, She knew how to feed herself. She knew how to do everything. Cats and other animals have instincts, but humans have zero instincts. You have to understand, I remember this from my medical training, if a human baby was not fed or cared for by the parents, it would just die. It wouldn't even know what to do. But the good thing about us as humans is we can learn anything we want. Anything we want. And as long as you believe in yourself and you get the right training, there's nothing you can't achieve. I mean, zero, nothing you can't achieve. Nothing. So don't let fear hold you back. Go after your dreams. Believe in yourself and go be successful. I mean, there's nothing holding you back other than your fear and anxiety. So get rid of that fear, get rid of that anxiety, get rid of that doubt. Believe in yourself and go out there and win. Now, I'll give you an example. I was always afraid of snakes. Snakes just give you the creeps, okay? And my cat has this hobby of picking up snakes with her mouse and bringing them in the house. And I've had this beautiful cat for 3 years now. I've taken out about 40 snakes from the house, and I'm no longer scared of snakes. So go after it. Do what makes you uncomfortable. Start in private. Then move to trusted friends. Then videotape yourself along the way and go after your dreams, and you'll be great. And it will be a wonderful, wonderful career for you, and I promise. What's it the course teach you? Everything you need to become an architect. Everything. All the network, all the data center, all the cloud, all the sales, all the presentation skills, all the communication skills, business acumen, leadership, executive presence, CXO relevancy, 100% of the skills that are necessary. And that's why, you can put together a 20-hour certified solution architect professional class, but our training is well over 700 hours because we have to teach everything. And that's why, people like Ivan Tamba or Coyote or Jordan Kitko got hired by AWS with no tech experience whatsoever. It's the reason why Balwinder, who was a stay-at-home mom, got hired by Microsoft. It's the reason that Wallace Agana, who was a sales rep, got hired by JP Morgan Chase. It's the reason that Jennifer Ema, who was a mental health tech without experience, got hired by JP Morgan Chase. It's the reason that Daniel Bosu, I love this kid, I really do. He was 20 years old, he didn't graduate high school, and JP Morgan Chase still hired him after our training. It's the reason that Pierre Dassault, who worked on sailboats, is now a solution architect. It's the reason that Noah Parker, who was a social worker, is now working as a solution architect. It's the reason that Victor, who was 24 years old, got his first tech job with us as a solution architect. And I can give you example after example, but the course teaches you how to be great at the job. If you're great at the job, you can get any job you want. Any tips on finding the right recruiters? Kevin, I recommend that you follow the training on that is in the class. But here's some good news. I also interviewed Christina Marino the other day, who is by far the best recruiter I have ever met in my entire life. She's placed me in 2 of my 5 jobs. She's the CEO of a recruiting firm, IT Excel in New York, and she and I have are in the process of creating a series of videos. We already filmed a video on how to find the best recruiters, and we're going to film a video this week on why job descriptions are silly jokes, not having anything to do with reality, from 2 people that have been interviewing and recruiting and hiring people for decades. And we've got a couple more recruiters because I'm doing some recruiter shows each week now. So I'm going to have a lot more recruiter content coming for all you guys. So subscribe to this channel. I've got a CEO of a recruiting firm coming once a week and some other experts in addition to me on this channel as well to kind of help you. And they're all coming soon. But Kevin, the best way to find a good recruiter is to create exceptional content. I don't know who went out there and somebody told people, here's how you get a job. You just spam people on LinkedIn. Send them a private message. I got to tell you, every employer that I know rejects 100% of those things. Why? Because knocking on someone's door is not really a way to basically say, I'm here, I'm interested. So create good content. Differentiate yourself. Show thought leadership. Show the business. Show the presence. Show your knowledge of solving problems. And the world will come to you. I'm trying to think of the guy we trained. He he would get Rob was his name. I'm trying to think of his last name. Bob Welch. He would get 10 to 15 interview requests per week from creating content according to the work we do. Many people do that, but it's not writing the same content. It's showing yourself as a leader and showing yourself as different, showing hard work, showing energy, enthusiasm, and passion, throwing knowledge and expertise about something, showing that you can tie the pieces together into a strategy, and they will come to you. They will come to you. But got a couple other videos there. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Let's go to the next one. Mr. Auspex, what are you doing when you have so many meetings because demand that you cannot work anymore? What do you do? What are the questions you may be asked ahead of a meeting? So I'm not really sure I'm going to try and translate this because I don't completely understand it. What are you doing when you have so many meetings? Well, you've got meetings for sales, meetings to obtain requirements, meeting to get resources inside of your company, meetings to negotiate things, meetings to work on solutions, meetings to collaborate with others. So, there's that. What do you do if you can't work anymore? Well, you've got two options. You continue to work when you're fatigued and you get promoted and get big $50,000 and $100,000 raises, or you just say no and you create boundaries around yourself, and that's fine too. But the reality is, if you're doing your job well and you're working for a real company, you're not going to be that tired. Now, look, I did spend 6 months of my life as an engineer, and I have to tell you, it was the worst job I ever had. And here's why it was the worst job. Everything was an emergency. Mike, something is broken. Go fix it. Mike, I need you to make these changes, but they need to be at 2 o'clock in the morning because we need to be gentle and gracious of all the systems that are there. So none of those things were any good. So engineering was hard, but half of these meetings are over lunches and over drinks and over dinners. So, to me, I don't think you're ever going to be tired. Is that tired as an architect? No, that's not true. Here's when you're going to be tired. When I would go from, say, Florida, Palm Beach, Florida, to, for example, Dubai, I would be tired. When I would go to Palm Beach, Florida, to Australia, I'd be tired. When I had one day where I gave a speech in Washington, D.C., and then gave another speech in San Jose, California, in the same day, that made me tired. But, for normal architects, you're not going to be doing that often. So I'd say the hardest part of the most fatiguing thing is when you actually travel. So that's what I would say. But no, what are the questions you ask ahead of a meeting? Well, what's the meeting about? What are the goals of the meeting? What are the business problems you're trying to solve? What's the goal of the meeting? Are you doing a meeting facilitation with a bunch of people on the customer side? Are you doing a meeting facilitation with a bunch of engineers and architects who are going to help you design it? So it's not like I can give you an answer to one of these things because you're going to be doing meetings 50% of the time. One thing good about being an architect is you don't have to touch the technology. Never. We're not allowed to. Most companies would fire us if we ever tried to touch our clients' technology. We design a solution, present a solution, sell a solution, hold a lot of meetings, facilitate meetings, lead meetings, give presentations, but we're not doing anything with the hands-on. So the questions ahead of the meeting that you need to ask are whatever is necessary to make the meeting successful. I hope I answered your question there. If not, please feel free. I'm happy to do more. Novella Becca, you're new to the concept of the cloud. There is so much out there and it's confusing why some entry-level concepts one can learn before they decide their specialization path. Well, Novella, I want to be really clear. There's some very horrible and dangerous advice that's going out there. Some people are telling people, look, you got to learn SysOps, which is maintenance, and DevOps, which is automation, and development, and then cloud. Well, why? What's the career you actually want? If I want to be an architect, my job has nothing to do with DevOps, nothing to do with software development, and nothing to do with maintenance or SysOps. If I want to be an architect, for example, I need to understand business skills, leadership skills, sales skills, executive presence, negotiation skills, stakeholder management skills, and network data center and cloud design skills, not code skills. So, Novella, here's what's going on. We're in a world where it's not like when I was younger. So, Novella, I've been in well over 115 major magazines and newspaper articles. To be in one of these magazines, you have to be an authority, meaning you have to have the world know you, and they reach out to you for your advice. And I've been in everything from Forbes to Information Week to Tech Republic to Tech Radar, InfoWorld, you name it, I'm in all of them. But most people that are out there that are starting a YouTube channel were either, for example, an intern that got fired from their job, someone that can't get a job, or someone that doesn't know, and they want to post their journey because someone told them to post their journey. And in the process, you've got people that know nothing about the career, that have never been successful, and they're guiding people. So you got to be careful where you get your information from. So I'll tell you what I did. When I got my first job, I did the exact opposite of the rest of my team. The rest of my team took that were entry-level engineers. I got my first job as a senior engineer. They went out there and they asked all the other entry-level engineers, what are you learning? What's cool? What certifications should I get? And they got answers from all the people that knew but didn't know anything. Now, here's what I did. I said to my manager, I said, could you tell me the skills that you think the best network engineer would be? And I said, do you mind if I ask your manager and the VP what they think are the best skills for a long-term, highly successful career? And my manager smiled and he said, Mike, I love this. You're the first person to ask me these questions. So what did I do? I asked the people that already made it to the top, what are the right skills? And they told me. Well, within 2 years, I had a principal architect job. Now, most people have 15 years experience to get there, but I didn't because I asked one of the experts. So, Novell, I have a rule. When it comes to asking people, you must ask the following. Don't ask a person that just got the job. Don't ask a senior architect because they're still not even at the successful rate yet. Ask a principal architect, ask a distinguished architect, ask a director of architecture, ask a VP of architecture, ask the big people that have already made it. What are those great skills that you need? And you'll be there. But yes, it's ridiculous that's out there. And that's because now everybody with social media can make posts and make content whether they know it's best. So, you know, when you go to a graduate school or get an MBA, here's what they tell you. You have to cite credible publications, meaning either peer-reviewed publications or research-based publications. They don't let you use somebody's blog. So that's why I actually write a lot of articles for real publications. And I love social media because it enables me to communicate with people all over the world and give guidance to people all over the world and help people with my level of expertise, which is I've been an architect for 25 years. And I've had every role. So it's there. But so now the question is, what career you want? So why don't you do this? Why don't you tell me what career you want, and then we can get you the skills path. Because imagine this, Nobel. There's a lot of courses out there. I can make you a SysOps, DevOps, solution architect, and developer all in the same class. I really want to translate that. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, and an airplane pilot in the same class. It's ridiculous because all these careers are so specific. So Novell Becca, what career would you actually like? And then I can tell you the skills that you need to get there. Because the entry-level concepts are different for each one of these careers. And that's the confusion. Let me know, and I would love to answer it. What are some great projects to learn cloud architecture which involve different relevant cloud services? So, Jessica, you're already bringing yourself into engineering and not architecture. Here's a cloud project for an architect. Evaluate this bank. Evaluate their financial statements. Evaluate what they're telling investors and shareholders. Evaluating their competition, their pain points. Understanding what their current technology is, and then designing a solution to improve their business performance. That's an architecture project. Touching the tech, not an architecture project. Not an architecture project. I hope that makes sense. So, come to the How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar tomorrow, and we'll talk about this, because we do architecture projects with our clients. but they're real architectures. You know, they're going to interview a business person or go through a business case study. They're going to ask about their pain points. They're going to learn about the current technology systems, and they're going to redesign workflows, meaning business processes. They're then going to have to redesign the technology architecture to support the new business processes. And then after they're done that, they're going to have to present it back and sell it and negotiate it and present to different audiences at different C-suite levels. That's an architecture project. Setting up stuff with a bunch of proprietary services is not our job as architects. That is what engineers do. So to learn how to be a doctor, you got to do medical things. To learn how to be an architect, you got to do architect things. I can tell you one thing, if you actually have a real job at AWS, at Azure, at Google, at Cisco, at IBM, at KPMG, Accenture, Capgemini, and you try to touch the customer's technology, you'll be escorted out the building by security. We are not a hands-on role. So I also want you to download the How to Get Your First Cloud Job document, and it will explain the role. And when you actually explain what we do, you're going to be there. Now, I'm going to tell you, architecture is not a job you can teach yourself with projects. Architecture is something that somebody's going to teach you. So I'd love to see you on that webinar, and we will cover actual real cloud projects that actually work on that webinar, and you can ask questions to us face-to-face live. Hope I answered your question there. Thank you so much, all the way from Kenya, and your feedback really helped. You will have to read more on the roles before you can decide, but following your content. That sounds great. I love that you're in Kenya. I've always been meaning to go to Kenya and Ethiopia, and actually Nigeria and Cameroon as well, and South Africa. That's one of those places I've always wanted to go to, so hopefully I'll get there someday soon. So there is a question on how is Cindy doing? So I will share a little bit of, just bear with me. I will share a photo of her that I took about last night. While I was working in my office, she was sitting outside the office, and you could see Cindy here as a very cute, very sweet, gentle little girl. If I'm in my office, she either sleeps in her bedroom, which is next to my office, because she's got her own bedroom, although she sleeps in our bed at night. And she also loves to sit outside my office when I'm in the office and just take little naps. You know, I got her at the cat rescue. I thought I rescued her. And the amount of happiness I got from my beautiful cat, Cindy, that I've adopted, I can't even understand. Maybe when you rescue an animal, they rescue the humans as well. Thanks for the question. She's doing wonderfully. Okay, any last questions for me? If there's any questions, I am happy to answer them. And would you like to know the syllabus for the architect? Absolutely. Chris or Tyrone, please provide a link for our course. And the link for that course provides a lesson-by-lesson syllabus for the course. And I would love you to get that. And actually, Tyrone also shared a link to that document as well. And, you know, I actually want to deal with Bhavani's questions on certificates because it's pretty important. Could you get a certificate? Bhavani, of course we provide a certificate for our clients, but I really want you to understand this. So I want you to be successful. No one cares about your certificates. No one cares about your certifications, and no one cares about your degrees. None. I've asked about 6,000 managers and executives over the years, and they just don't care. Here's what they care about. How good are your skills? Meaning, at this job, not other people's jobs. They care about how you communicate. They care if they can trust you. And most people lose that because they've got stuff on their resume they can't explain on the interview, and the interview dies over there. They care about your energy, enthusiasm, and passion for the role. They care about your emotional intelligence. Could you bring out the best in others, or you destroy the morale on a team? And that's really critical for employers. They care about your willingness to go above and beyond and your willingness to be a team player. All of that is what they care about. So the answer is yes. You can get a certificate, but most people that come to me already have 20 certificates and they can't get hired. And sometimes we take some of the certificates off of the resume and then we teach them the real skills and we have to rewrite the resume. And here's why I'm concerned about certificates. Let's say I put on my resume, dog walker, nurse practitioner, cloud architect, physical therapist, and strength and conditioning coach. Let's say I said that. Would you know what I am? No. Now, if I said cloud architect, Cisco certified internet expert certification, CISSP, and TOGAF. No, see, I'm starting to learn. I'm starting to look like an architect on there. So those certificates will get me that interview. Now, once I get in person, I got to prove to the employer that I'm willing to hire. So, sure, we'll give you a certificate, but we'll also give you the skills so you can get any job you want. And that's really what matters. We'll give you the skills and the capability to get a great job. And that's what I care about, changing people's lives. Look, I had somebody got a $409,000 last year, plenty of $300,000 jobs. And our average salary is between $150 and $200 for new graduates of our program, regardless of their level of experience. So that's what I care about. Can we change your life? Can we make it that your family has money where you don't have to think about what things cost? Can you go on any vacation you want to go anywhere in the world? Can you afford to have a house and multiple nice cars? If the answer to that is yes, then we did our job. Regarding the certificate, yes, I get it. But, kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We'll get you a certificate, but we'll also get you the capability to have an elite career. And that's what we care about. Can you target remote jobs from India for cloud architect roles? So let's be fair. I've gotten plenty of people hired in India for cloud architect roles. Plenty of work. And I want to make sure you understand the architect role is not an engineering role. It's not a fully remote role. Meaning you can be remote as long as you can travel to visit clients on site. And India is very close to a lot of things. So from India, you could work all over India. And believe me, there's plenty of cloud architect roles there. You could also, a lot of work would be done in the Middle East, but you could do remote. Tremendous amount of work in Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, those sort of places. So there's lots of opportunity there as well. And the reality is you can live in India and still travel to other neighboring places. But for architects are not engineers. Engineers, it has no bearing on where you live. Zero. What actually matters is that you can be at the client when it matters. Because an engineer, it doesn't matter if they're in Cambodia, Cameroon, Cape Town, Chicago, or California, or the Cayman Islands. They can write their code anywhere. But as an architect, you're not going to close $1 billion deal without a face-to-face conversation. So you need to be close to the environment, and then you'll be in good shape. But lots of jobs. We've got plenty of people, great jobs in India. We can go to the next one. If anybody has questions, please ask them. How much experience do you have landing jobs outside of the US? I've gotten people hired in every country you can think of. A tremendous number of them in Australia and New Zealand. Tremendous number of people in Europe. Tremendous number of people in England. Tremendous number of people in Canada, the US. I've experienced getting people jobs in Africa. I've got people experience getting jobs in every country in the world. So lots of experience. Do architects have to plan before building something? Bhavani, architects don't build anything. All we do is build a plan. We are not engineers. The whole point of the architect is to go meet with the client to understand their business goals, business pain points, business challenge, understand the vision for their business, understand how the business operates today, which is called the business architecture, help recreate the business architecture for the future to optimize that business, understand their current technology environment, plan the new technology requirement based on the vision of the business, negotiate the deal, sell the deal, present the deal, document the deal, which is a plan. And we don't build anything. Once we're done, it goes to a team of engineers that go and build it. So all we do as architects is plan. We are strategic planners, strategic designers, but we honestly don't build anything in our career. And that's where people get the architecture world wrong. They're trying to learn to code, they're trying to learn to configure, they're learning all this other stuff, which has nothing to do with their job. And then they go on an interview and someone asks them real architect questions and they fall apart because they're studying for their own career. So the closest career to architecture I can tell you is when I learned to practice medicine. And the equivalent, so the physician typically makes the plan. Somebody goes to see their doctor, they come up with a plan. And then if they put the patient in the hospital, the nurses actually do the work that the doctor actually recommended. Same job as the architect. So, kind of keep that in the back of your mind. We don't build anything. How do you protect the architect? I don't know what you mean by protect the architect. The architect is one of the most secure positions in the world, and here's why. We bring money into businesses. If I work for Amazon or Microsoft or Cisco or IBM or KPMG, Accenture, I'm working in a sales type role as an architect, which means I'm going to meet with the client, I'm going to find their business needs, and ideally find a solution for them. And that means bringing in money. If I'm an engineer who's building it, I cost money. So the architect is protected. Anybody that generates revenue or a customer protected as there. Oh, you want to know how we protect the architect plan? We don't even have to for the most part. I mean, to do agree, we do. So let's say we're dealing with a client. Let's say it's Bank of America. We only give the information to Bank of America. Nobody else. And we're limited on who we can communicate with in any publicly traded company. So you can't share your designs with one company and another. But here's the thing. The plan that works for one company won't work for another company. And that's why when people study engineering builds to come up with new designs, it's a disaster. The plan that works for business A that operates a certain way will not work for business B. It'll hurt business B. So the plan is specific to you. So, but there's nothing so secret about the plan. So if you came to me in a healthcare environment, because I like to go to healthcare whenever I talk about architecture because it's the same job. If you came to me because you had a sore throat, right? Here's what I would do. I would ask you some questions about your sore throat. The next thing I would do is I'd check your lymph nodes. Then I'd ask you to open your mouth up, take a tongue depressor, look at your throat and say, oh, it's red. Then I'd make a diagnosis, pharyngitis, and I'd come up with a treatment plan based a prescription based on it, like amoxicillin, 500 milligrams 4 times a day. That's a plan to get you better. Now, if you were allergic to penicillin, the next guy or girl was allergic to penicillin, I couldn't give that drug. But if you had a viral infection versus a bacterial infection, I still couldn't give that drug. So the plan is based and it's unique for the client and their unique situation and their unique business needs. But we're not patenting our plans. And you're going to see similar plans but with variations for every business, but they'll be similar, but they'll be varied. So you don't really need to protect the plan. You're not patenting an architecture. Every customer gets their own unique architecture. And you just don't tell it to other people. I hope I answered your question in a manner that makes sense. Come to the webinar tomorrow and we can really discuss these and you can come face to face. So, are there any questions? Last call. So, any questions pop in the next minute? Great. Otherwise, there's a lot of things that I'm really behind on, but I try to spend 2 hours every Wednesday to help you guys build the best careers because I know what it was like when I started. I know how painful it was when I was started. I know how much money I spent because I got bad advice when I started. And I don't want any of you to ever be in that situation. How long do you typically work with a customer? Well, it depends on the engagement. And here's what I mean by this. The kind of work that I do are typically billion-dollar plus architectures. So I could be working for a customer in the planning phase and negotiation phase for a year and a half, even 2 years. I have other engagements that I do that are very simple. They're more cookie cutter. And more junior engineers, architects will be working with simpler things. They could be 2 days for something small. They could be 6 months for something big. So it all depends on the complexity of what you're actually dealing with. For example, if it's just sticking a web application on the internet, it's nothing on the cloud. That's nothing. You can do it in a month or less. If I'm re-architecting an organization's business processes and re-architecting their technology solutions for new business needs, if it's a little business, it might take a little while. But for a big business like a bank, well, I'll tell you, I worked on a voice architecture for a bank, then only the voice, and I spent 9 months on it. From the time we decided to work on it to the time we sold the solution. That was just voice. That was a big bank, but it was their voice. And that was 9 months. So it all depends on how big the architecture is, how big the project is. And then you're there. It's a good question. I wish I could give you a concrete answer, but it depends on what you're doing and what's in scope. When you're dealing with a company that's got 500,000 employees, you got a lot of information to collect, which is different than you deal with a company with 10,000 employees, which is, a medium-sized business. Very different. Great question. When could you receive the certificate? Again, the skills are what matters, not the certificate. You'd get the certificate after you'd finish the 700 plus hours of training that are here. But it's not the certificate that I care about. I care about your new job where you're earning something and you're changing your life. But when you finish the course, you'll get a certificate. How long does it take you to do 700 hours of training? I don't know. And if you don't understand some of the training, you may have to watch it again. Do you have nothing going on in your life where you can study 12 hours a day? It'll be fast. If you can learn it all that fast. If you work a full-time job, which 80% of our clients do, it'll take you longer. Because 700 hours, there's a lot of content to go through. But we need 700 hours to make our people great. And that's why we have people coming to us. We had a VP of a cloud company come and speak with our class a few weeks ago. We've had directors from AWS come and talk about our class about why they love our program. And it's because of the extraordinary emphasis we have on the leadership skills, the business skills, the sales skills, executive presence. Because when employers tell us, it's like, look, I can find a techie all day long. And I'm like, I know. They're like, but I can't find a techie that understands how to solve business problems. And that's why we need to come to you. So I hope that answers your question. So I think now is a good time to close for the day. And I want to close on the following things. Join us tomorrow for the completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Job webinar, where we'll cover the cloud architect role and everything you need to learn to get there. Download the completely free guide on how to get your first cloud architect job. Again, it's completely free. And, it doesn't matter for architects, because architects aren't just tech skills. But if you're here with an engineering background or concerns from another career, please download the guide, Why Tech Skills Are Not Enough. And actually, if you get it as an architect, it'll help you too, because it'll show you the skills that are going to get you paid more. I want you to earn more than you've ever dreamed possible. And that comes down to your business acumen, your leadership skills, your sales skills, your executive presence, communication skills in both architecture and engineering. It's not your next certification. It's your business acumen. And the problems you can solve for your clients. So I enjoyed speaking with all of you today. I can't wait to see you in the next webinar, and have a wonderful day.